Education Professional Development Series. My name is Amy Alcalisi, EdTech Project Manager here at CTL, and I'm joined by Anna Roach, Secretary Partner and Operations Support. If you are not familiar with CTL, we've been headquartered in Portland, Oregon, providing innovative IT solutions to education and government customers for over 26 years. We're a Google for Education partner specializing in rugged CTL Chromebooks, laptops, convertibles, two-in-ones, and tablets designed specifically for K-12 education. Over the last 2.5 years, we've worked with Google to introduce a line of CTL Chromebooks that have been recommended by PC Magazine as the best choice for Chromebooks in education. As part of our commitment to education, CTL offers free professional development webinars on a variety of topics relevant to K-12 EdTech. Today's webinar is an overview of Securely, cloud-based internet security app, presented by Anders Johnson. He's the Vice President of Sales for Securely. Before we get started, I'd like to review the attendee interface so you know how to participate in today's event. You should see something that looks like this on your own computer desktop in the upper right-hand corner. You are listening in using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select Telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You may type any questions into the question pane of the control panel during the presentation and they will be addressed in the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. But before we begin, I'd like to take a poll to learn more about our attendees today. Please indicate your experience level with Securely, and I'll give you guys a moment to fill it out. So let me launch this poll. All right. Can everybody see that? Hope everybody can see that. And it looks like 75% no experience and 25% a lot of experience. All right. Let me hide that. Hopefully that's hidden. Thanks for your patience in filling that out. Before I turn it over to Anders for our presentation, I would like to just remind everyone about some resources for Nevada 21 educators. When you visit the nr21.ctl.net website, you can learn about upcoming professional learning opportunities, sign up for updates about upcoming events and information, and join our Google Plus private community for Nevada 21 Ready 21 educators. So now I'd like to introduce Anders Johnson. He's the Vice President of Sales for Securely, and I will change screens over to Anders. And thank you everyone for being here.
Okay, so thank you so much for the introduction. So again, this is Anders Johnson, and currently running sales operation for Securely. Very, very exciting place for me in my career. I've had the opportunity to work with school districts K through 12 throughout the U.S. over the last 18 years, specifically in regards to web filtering products and security products for the network. And so what I wanted to do today, my goal is to walk you through, for most of you who don't know much about Securely, a little bit more about what we do, what's our vision, what's our background, how do we really set ourselves apart from the other traditional web filtering solutions that you have available, and show you a little bit of the interface and go through some common questions a lot of people have, and I believe we'll also have some time at the end here to answer some of the specific questions that any of you may have. So really appreciate you taking some time off your afternoon here to learn and listen, and hopefully you leave this call feeling like you really got something out of it. So I'm going to start by really talking a little bit about the web filtering portion. Obviously, we all know that you have devices you've had for the last 20 years that you have to protect from pornography and gambling and inappropriate websites. And what most school districts have had for the longest time is some type of web filtering appliance. So the appliance is typically either a firewall that you have at the district level, where the web filter is a portion. It's some other feature that's included and sort of bundled in the firewall, and we're all familiar with the terms UTM, Unified Threat Management Device, or some type of all-in-one web filtering product. And so that's really what a lot of us are used to. It may also be a separate appliance that you have running inside the district that sits behind the firewall, or it could be some type of piece of equipment that the state provides or that your internet service provider has. Either way, that's really where we've been with web filtering for the longest time, including back when I started in 1999. And so important to note, though, is what's happened is a lot of things have been changing in how kids use the internet and the various devices and so on over the last especially 5 years to 10 years. I'll just highlight a few of them. Obviously, you're moving to one-to-one, right? And so we all know that. You're on the call today. You probably have Chromebooks you're getting from CTL. And, just the moving from 1 to 4 traditionally to 1-to-1 has put a lot of challenges, especially on web filtering as well, because you want to keep these devices protected probably when they go home. A lot of districts are faced with that now, where they're not just buying devices for every kid, but they're also worried about how can we keep these devices SEPA compliant, how can we really keep the kids safe when they're not at school. You also have increased bandwidth needs. That provides a lot of challenges. You have 4 times the devices you're using. You have increased bandwidth needs, YouTube videos, high-definition videos, testing that's gone online, a lot of other applications that have gone to the cloud. And that presents its own challenges because you have to upgrade your infrastructure, your wireless access points, your firewall, and now we have to look at the web filter. Another piece of equipment that unfortunately probably can't stay up to date with the increased bandwidth demands that your network has, and so now we have to look at another piece of hardware or multiple pieces of hardware to make sure that the web filter is not a bottleneck. So that's been a lot of other things that we've noticed schools have really battled with. Another challenge that schools have had is the idea of digital citizenship initiatives really starting to become a big topic. The kids are not using the internet today the way they used to. We know that. They're very socially interactive. They are, bullying each other. They're using these Chromebooks when they go home, and they can, in private, in their bedroom, say nasty things to other students, whether it be in school email, school chat, Facebook, Twitter, etc. They're not just looking to get to the latest porn site or the latest online dating site. They want to vent their emotions. They want to be very socially interactive, and it's almost turning into an addiction for these kids. And so we have to be aware of that, and I think schools know that. And there's been a growing concern as how can we keep our kids not just safe, but also productive. A lot of schools are looking at common sense media for a lot of their courses and so on that they're offering for free to schools, and there's a lot of new discussions, new staff that school districts have. And I think important to note is that I don't think we're in a position right now where we're just looking at web filtering. Here's a list of 10, 20 million websites. Here's the 50 to 100 categories we have. Click the categories, you're SEPA compliant, and away you go. I think there's been a lot of other technical challenges that we're facing, and challenges in general with student safety and looking at the schools, how can they get involved in helping the kids be better citizens online. So that's kind of where Securely comes in. So what Securely is first and foremost is we're a web filter product, okay? So the difference is that we're cloud-based. And being cloud-based is something that we're not unfamiliar with that term. A lot of software, like I just mentioned, have gone to the cloud, but web filtering, ironically, has not really transitioned to the cloud successfully. There have been a couple of solutions that have been around for a while that are cloud-based, but they lack the common core fundamental web filtering functionalities that schools want and schools need. So you've kind of become accustomed to be able to filter different students or different teachers versus students in different ways and have reports on who's doing what, or ways to deal with secure websites. These are some of the core things that you don't want to be without. And so that's where Securely came in. In 2012, we became the first true cloud-based web filtering solution that can replace an appliance. So we want to go to you as a district and say, hey, we can be a complete solution for all of your devices, whether you have PCs, Macs, Chromebooks, a few iPads laying around, various mixtures of devices kids are bringing in. Whatever you have, the goal of Securely is to bring all of your web filtering out from underneath of having to use an appliance. And so the obvious benefits with that is, of course, you don't have any hardware to maintain anymore, so you don't have the budget needs of spending the money on that hardware or maintaining it. You have absolutely no bandwidth restrictions, so we don't add any what's called latency, any slowdown to your internet connection. You can virtually buy as many devices as you want, and you can have them anywhere, whether it be at Starbucks, at Panera, at somebody's home, or inside the school. Any device anywhere will all be under the umbrella of the Securely Cloud. So it's very easy to deploy, and our goal is to be able to go to a district and ease the technology director's pains and really equip you for the next 5 to 10 years. Transition away from an appliance, save time, save money, and make this whole one-to-one initiative work easier and help overcome some of these bandwidth constraints. So that's the one thing that we do. The second thing that we do is we then have the student safety side of the company. So what we believe very passionately and securely is web filtering should no longer just be about web filtering. And what's happened, I think this happened probably around 2009, 2010 timeframe, is I think most of us admitted that web filtering is a commodity. You can go probably choose from 15 to 20 different products today. Many are not education focused at all. Some are. And you can pay some money and become SEPA compliant. And you're going to have your sets of challenges and different reports and different features. But what you're going to find with most web filter companies is you're going to find that the focus is no longer web filtering. The focus is typically other features that are built in, whether it be mobile device management packages, learning management systems, whether it be a firewall, etc. And I'm looking at how can we get back to a best-of-breed model? And I think I personally came to that conclusion after working with schools for so long, and I realized, you know, when I started, we'd have a dedicated web filter company, we'd had a dedicated firewall solution vendor, we'd have a dedicated system for mail filtering, for instance, and then we've moved into, well, one hardware solution can do everything for me. And I think we're getting to a point where the internet's becoming too complex. There's too many issues. And so what we also want to look at is, okay, well, if we're just cloud-based, what else do we need to look at as a web filter company? And that's where the student safety aspect comes in. So this is the other side of Securely. It's completely included in our solution. It's a very, very big part of what we do. So the first thing Securely has is a cyberbullying and self-harm detection algorithm. We call this an emotional sentiment detection system. So what this means is we're looking at all of the tweets, all of the Facebook and Google posts that these kids are making on the Chromebooks or any device, no matter where they're located. And we're analyzing these posts continually to look for sentence structures that don't have obvious keywords. Now, if they have obvious keywords, it's easier for us, right? But more importantly, that's not how kids communicate. They don't typically say, I'm going to kill myself today. If they do, that's easy to pick up on. If they say to somebody, you're a complete idiot, you know, we can pick up on that because we had a keyword that's obvious. But something to the effect of, I don't know how much longer I can handle this, or if this goes on any much longer, I'm at the end. Or nobody really likes you. I don't think you should be a model because you're not good looking and everybody in the school knows it, right? Sentence structures that have major emotional impact that are causing higher depression rates, higher suicide rates than we've ever seen. And we've done some research showing that 1 of every 50 posts that we typically see relates to an emotional venting of a student that's depressed or bullying. And so you know, you add that up, there's thousands and thousands of these posts happening all across the country every month. I dare to say every week. And we want to do something about that. So that's one big thing of what Securely is doing. And the next thing, which is sort of, in my opinion, a game changer for how you approach student safety and productivity, is the parental relationship that we're trying to create between schools and parents in relation to the online activity. Now, parent portals are not new. SIS servers like PowerSchool, for instance, and many others have had parent portals for years, meaning the parent can log in whenever they want, and they can take a look at what their kids are doing, whether they're eating lunch that day and they ordered lunch, or what they're doing in certain grades and quizzes and so on. Learning management systems now are adding portals for parents to get involved and have a greater purview of what their kids are doing in the class and how they're interacting with the teacher and homework and assignments and so on. So I don't think that I think we can easily admit that getting a parent involved makes a lot more sense than just the school being fully responsible for the child's productivity and safety and what they're doing in and out of school. But internet activity has been hidden up until this point. Now, the new FERPA laws and some of the new privacy laws do state that if a parent wants to find out what their child has been doing online, they have a right to get access to that data. But up until now, the only person that has access to see what the kids are doing, what they're searching for, what videos they're looking at, what websites were blocked, etc., is the technology director in that department, the school district essentially. And so if you have thousands or tens of thousands of kids, or even if you just have hundreds of kids in your school district, you're going to battle with that, because it's impossible for one or two or three people to keep track of what a child is doing every day on the web and have that child's best interests at heart to take the time to do due diligence. And so, being that that's completely impossible, Securely decided that we need to get the parents involved, because online activity has too much to do with the kids' safety and productivity, that we need to get somebody else to take a look at this. And so we're actually releasing this software next month. We've been developing it for 2 years. We're working with about 100 to 150 different partner districts all across the country right now that have been testing this. So general release is probably around Q4 this year, but it's completely free, it's completely included. And so what we're doing is we are creating a portal for parents to log in, so they can log in and they can see what their kids are doing on the internet. And then you as a district will have the ability to customize the parent's level of access. I'll give you a couple examples. First of all, you may decide that you only want parents to see what happens on the Chromebooks when they are at home. So a lot of schools feel that that's a good place to start, where if you're sending Chromebooks home and you want these devices to be protected, you can filter them. But then you can bring the parents involved and get them in and let them see what happens on the Chromebook when my kid's at their friend's house doing a sleepover. What's happening when my kid shut the door and said that nothing interesting happened at school today. How can I get involved as a parent? How can I have a conversation starter? How can I see if they're doing things appropriate, if they're spending time all night on Facebook, if they're actually posting things that are suicidal? There's so many different things that a parent would need. You can also extend it to where parents see everything that happens inside school, and you can modify internet acceptable use policies, and you can start working with your parents and communicate to them. The way we keep parents engaged is we send emails to parents every week, so the parent gets a short little summary of, hey, just to remind you, little Johnny, your 14-year-old that's in 8th grade or whatnot, is this is kind of a few videos that he watched, and these are a few things that he did on the internet this week. And that's just as a nice, gentle reminder to keep the parent engaged. It's not designed to show bad activity and naughty things they've been doing, because that would typically trigger the anti-spam solution to send that mail to the junk folder, so the parent can't see it anyways. It's just designed to get the parent to click on a link to go back to the portal. And so the portal I'm about to show you is the same portal that a teacher or a technology director would have. The difference is that we're only going to show the parent data for their child. okay, obviously. So that's a really big thing that we're doing. So just to kind of quickly summarize, Securely is a web filtering solution that'll work on all of your Chromebooks. It'll work on for all of your devices in and out of the district. It can completely replace your appliance, or it can work in conjunction and just be, say, a Chromebook solution on your CTO Chromebooks if you're in contract with another web filter provider for right now. And then it brings in the bully detection and the parental integration as options that you can take advantage of for free. Okay, couple of things we have coming down the road, by the way, is we're doing SIS integrations. That's actually something we have working right now, but we're going to do kind of a tighter integration, so that's where we get your data as far as the parent-student relationship. We're going to be doing 911 text message alerts to both as an email alert to the appropriate teachers and to the parent's cell phone if something suicidal is looked at or viewed or posted on social media. So, okay, so let's stop there and let's take a quick look at some of the other web filter specific features. I'll just kind of highlight those real quick and then we'll go straight to the interface. So a couple technologies we have, and I'll go through these a little bit more in depth shortly. We are completely Google integrated, so obviously if you're using Google Apps for education, beautiful. We actually require that right now as of today for you to become a Securely customer. So at any level, however you're integrating Google and using Google Apps for Education, we're going to require at least that the Google Apps domain is set up for your school. And that's how we basically do authentication. Talk a little bit about authentication. That's one of the things that typically comes up right away. If you have a web filter right now, typically I assume most of you know who's going where. You can control access based on teachers versus students, etc. And if somebody asks you where Rob's been, you can go take a look at what Rob's activity has been at any point in time. We do this as well, and there's multiple ways that we can do this, but primarily we tie everything back to Google. So if you're on a Chromebook and you log into that Chromebook, we automatically know who you are. That's a no-brainer. That's very easy. If you sit down at a PC that's joined to a domain inside your network, we will know automatically who you are. If you have any other device that's taken out of the district, like an iPad, for example, we're going to make you log into Google before you're allowed to get on the web. So if you open up your Safari browser on the iPad, it's going to shoot you over to accounts.google.com, which is a very familiar login if you're a Google district, and you have to type in your school GAF domain and password. So that's how we do authentication. There's other various ways that we handle as well, and I'll try to cover this a little bit later. We also have something called take-home policies. So take-home policies allow the Chromebook or any other device to automatically change web filter permissions when it leaves the district. So let's say that you don't want kids to play games and you don't want them on social media when they're at school, but when they take the Chromebook home, it's okay. You don't want to micromanage everything that they're doing, and if they want to play some games, that's fine. So what you can do is you can block the games category when they're in school, but as soon as that Chromebook leaves the school, then games are no longer blocked. And it's not based on time, it's based on location. So if the kid calls in sick one day, they're still going to be able to play games while they're at home. If you let school out early one day, it'll switch automatically when the Chromebook leaves. Interestingly enough, to tie that back in, what we're also doing with the parental integration, and this is also available now, is the parent can actually control the take-home policy if you let them. What this means is, let's say you have 5,000 kids, and that means you probably have thousands of parents. And these parents may have objections to the device coming home, or they may want to be involved. You have helicopter parents, you have parents that don't know what they don't know, and so how do we deal with that? Well, one of the things we came up with was, let's give the parents control. If they're seeing that their kids are playing games, and the school has decided that games are okay after hours on a take-home policy, but I notice that my kids' grades are failing, and I'm involved, and I notice that they're spending most of their time playing games on the Chromebook, I can then go in without calling the school, without getting involved with the tech department. I can go in and very simply click to block games on my child's Chromebook, but it will only affect that Chromebook when that Chromebook is not at school. Okay, when it goes back to school, it's back on your playground, and we're back up and running. Now, you may have a lot of questions about this, and to be completely honest with you, we've only had some school districts now play around with this feature. This semester, coming up now, September through December, is going to be the first time we're rolling this out to over 100,000 kids with a lot of our districts, and so we'll have a lot more figured out. But this is a journey that Securely is taking with schools. We don't have everything figured out. We don't have every single feature that's customized, but what I like about our company is that we've stepped out and said this is available right now. So just keep that in mind with expectations that we haven't been doing this for 4 years. Next year we'll have a lot more questions answered, a lot more features, but if you do use Securely, it's important to know that this is the part of the whole package, and it's something that's available, whether it comes up this year as a concern or next year as a concern. Common feature functionalities you're going to have out of your existing web filter. You're going to have the ability to do safe search on your various search engines. We even have an improved Google image safe search that virtually eliminates any improper images on search engines. Various ways to enforce YouTube controls and make sure that teachers can allow videos and channels, but keep the YouTube restricted mode on to prevent unnecessary, inappropriate videos from coming through. Obviously, you have different reports you can go through. You have the ability to have different teachers unblock websites and so on if they need to, or to view reports for only their grades or their buildings, to give different principals various access. So we're constantly looking at what you need out of a web filter, but we're not trying to make it overly complex either. Okay, so let's shift gears real quick to more technical, and I'm going to keep this pretty short, and then I'm going to switch right to the interface after this slide. So how do we get securely working on a network? Well, it's a lot easier than you may think. So on the top of this slide, let's focus first of all on devices inside your school. This could be anything that you have inside the school, whether it be shared carts of Chromebooks, whether it be PCs and Macs, laptops, desktops, etc. So Securely works primarily on DNS redirection. So this is a very simple setting to set. We have different clusters in the Amazon AWS and the cloud all over the country, and we give you some IP addresses, and you're going to just change those DNS forwarders. For you who are technical on this call, very, very simple to do. Our SSL certificate, that is something that obviously is, we need to deploy so we can properly handle your secure websites and take a look at Facebook content and so on. You're also going to have the ability to now go in and decide how you want to set up your policies. How do I want students to be filtered? Which categories do I want to turn on? Very simple stuff that you want to set in place. So we've made that very, very simple. And then last thing you're going to do is determine how you want to authenticate your students. Some of you may want to handle guest networks differently. Some of you may say, we don't care to know who's who. We just want to filter a network. That's all we want right now. That's entirely fine. The opposite end of the spectrum is, I want to know who everybody is before they get on the internet at my district, on my connection. That's okay. We can handle that as well. So very, very easy ways to set up authentication. All of this could take as little as 5 to 10 minutes if you have just Chromebooks, or it could take somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour if you're looking to get all your devices to be working. Very simple. So on the bottom here, we have devices that go out of district. With Chromebooks, it's, again, the easiest. You're going to deploy what's called a user-based extension through the admin panel in GAF, and you're done. You're not going to have to do anything else. Those devices are protected no matter where they go. We obviously have best practices for Chromebook deployments, so things like not allowing non-GAF domain logins on a Chromebook to prevent somebody from bypassing the system with their own personal email, things like that. If you have iPads or any type of iOS devices, you're simply going to use the MDM solution of your choice that you use to manage those to push out a pack file that redirects everything to securely in the cloud. So again, we're not relying on any equipment at the school after hours, or at all, really. Then you're going to do DNS redirection, which is a setting you can put on some of the laptops and so on if they go home. And again, deploy our SSL certificate. We have engineers that will work side by side with you and hold your hand through this whole process. But again, in my experience, we're looking at an average of 4 to 8 hours to install an appliance and get it fully working. Here we're looking at an average of 15 minutes to 1 hour is about what we spend with a new district. And this is regardless of size. So, all right, so let's take a look at the interface a little bit. What can you expect to see when you look at Securely? So when you first log in, it's all web-based. You can access the interface anywhere. You're going to have a dashboard. The dashboard is going to show you, the top trending websites that have been available. You can also see different health checks, and we also have geolocation built in, so you or parents can see where the device has been. Again, any type of device. Whoops, I'm actually going to have to log back in here. My session expired. So let me just do that real quick. We actually expire sessions after about 30 minutes. And have any questions come up? Do you want to see if there's any questions while I spend just a couple minutes getting that back up and running?
Sure. Let's see here.
We can also save them here if, for the end. I'll write them down and note them.
So let's see. There's a question from, does the when someone secures it, that's usually the GAF person that's at the school, or is it start with the networking folks, or can it be managed at the school level or district level?
This is a district level implementation that your technology director, network administrator needs to be involved to set up.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm back in and logged into this interface here. So you can go to the report section. So report section is going to show you, it's very, very slick, very fast to go through. So you're going to have the ability here to quickly take a look at everything. Now again, this is recorded on any device anywhere. So it doesn't matter where the device is. So right now we're looking at data from summer school, or just this district happens to send devices home during the summer. Okay, so we're looking at things are happening, all those schools not in session. First of all, you have the ability to look at all the social media posts. So anything that any of your kids are posting on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, it's going to be logged in here. And obviously we're going to show you whether it's a tweet or not. We're going to show you the student that it was. And if you are particularly concerned about a specific student, all you have to do is click on their email address, and immediately, within seconds, you're going to see only what that particular student posted. We also have over here a search where you can put in various date ranges, categories, users, which would be their GAF account name. You can search by keyword, by website, by grade level. There's a lot you can do to narrow down these reports. Wiki Articles, again, you can just click on the Wiki Articles. Why do we show Wiki Articles? Well, look at this. This person just looked for Michael Phelps, okay, and gymnastics achievements by nation. Somebody looked for incidents at Walt Disney World. You can kind of get an idea as a parent. Keep in mind, this could be available as parents as well. Is my kid spending time doing homework? What are some of the things that I can have a conversation starter about? What are they doing? We don't just want to be a bad cop product where we're going to show you, here's the top 20 websites. Here's the top 20 websites that were blocked and the top kids that went to Playboy yesterday. Let's go after them, right? Yes, we're going to show that data, but we also want you to see data that's going to show good behavior as well. Searches are going to be in there, so we're going to be able to see everything that your kids are searching for. Again, if you're investigating a particular student, you're going to be able to narrow it down, of course, to just what this student searched for. Same thing with videos. What are they watching on YouTube? What kind of things are they looking at? What are they looking up? Again, you want the whole picture when you look at what a student's been doing, so that it becomes relevant and you get the complete idea of, okay, what was this kid doing? Were they just searching for this, or were they actively visiting these websites as well? And have they been doing any of their homework? And what are they doing on social media? All right. Typically, you're going to be asked, hey, can you take a look at what Robert did? We're concerned. He minimized his screen. Somebody said he was looking at porn. You're going to want to see everything that the kid's been doing to get an idea of where they're at, where's their head at, right? So So we show obviously web videos that are allowed. Websites, of course, that they've been visiting are going to be very easy to look at. You can see a lot of people here going to various different websites. If you want to block them, you can block them right away. And this green thumbs up here is going to basically show you accessed activity. If you flip it down to blocked activity with a red thumbs down, now you kind of look at the other side where you're seeing what are we really blocking. You're going to see a lot of things like Facebook, Pandora, music, things like that. The schools are saying we don't want this to be allowed. Okay. So again, very simple, just giving you kind of a brief overview here. Flagged activity is going to be our bully detection. So let's go back a month and take a look at what we've seen. So not a whole lot of stuff in here during the summer, but you can see how it's usually inappropriate stuff. You're never going to really see things here that are completely illegitimate. So we look at approximately about a 65% accuracy hit rate on real bullying and suicidal type posts. And then, of course, you have different policies you can set up and configure. We won't go through these today. We don't have time, but we're happy to show you individually if you just reach out to us. But you can set up different policies for students and teachers and take-home policies, and you have the ability to categorize different categories and so forth. Decide how you handle YouTube and how you're going to give teachers various access and so on. So again, it's all designed to tie back to Google OUs right now. Office 365 support is coming later this year, but Google has been something we've been tying all our authentication and directory services to for about 5 years now. All right, so we've talked about an overview of what Securely is. We've gone through deployment. How are some simple kind of basic overview of how would you get this this product working on the network? And for you who are not technical, I apologize. We've also kind of given you a sneak peek of what does the interface look like. What are some of the things I can do with the product, just to kind of get a sneak peek of what the interface sort of would be to interact with. And the last thing I want to do is I want to go through some common questions. So I've got some common questions here that people typically ask. Most of them are technical. But I'm going to try to make them sort of non-technical in how I answer them, so for you who are still listening, it's going to be relevant. And then I think we've got some time to open up for some other questions. So the first question people have is typically privacy. Okay, so you've got access for all these bullying, suicidal posts, right? You know what kids are searching for. You got all this data. How long do you keep the data? What are you doing about privacy? We've got all these new privacy laws, HIPAA, FERPA, COPA, etc., sort of swarming through the country now, starting with California and Colorado, and just working all over the place. The great news is there's an organization called iKeepSafe. iKeepSafe, their mission is to work with vendors and scrutinize us and make sure that we are fully compliant with all the latest privacy laws for education. We just became the very first and currently the only web filter vendor that sells to schools, or web filter vendor, period, that is fully certified. So we went through 6 months of rigorous investigation, policy changes, etc., and we are now compliant with that. Needless to say, by the way, any of your web filter products has this data. They may not have the bullying data and the Facebook posts, but they know what kids are searching for. They know what websites they're on. There's kids still searching for suicidal things using web browsers. Whether that web filter provider shows that data or not, or whether you actively look at it, there's no added liability for what Securely is doing. Okay? It just boils down to what's your internet acceptable use policy going to be at the school, and what do your individual attorneys say. But we will happily provide you a PDF that will satisfy all the questions that any local school district attorney would have about how we handle the newest, latest laws. Okay, so that's great for us, and I think for you as well. So that's one question. Another question is, hey, I just bought a bunch of CTL Chromebooks. I've heard I'd get kind of a deal on these, but I need to work with CTL sales staff, etc., and Securely to sort of figure out how I can pay for it and take advantage of Securely. But I just purchased a web filter appliance for all my other devices. Can Securely work together with my existing web filter? The answer is absolutely. We can work on just the Chromebooks, or we can work as just an at-home filtering solution. So we're very conscientious of budgets. There's a lot of fancy things we can do, by the way, to postpone payment a year if you have a year left and so on. But we can augment and work together with your existing solution. So that's a really good thing to know, because you may just have been buying Chromebooks, but you don't really want to pay for the rest of your computers right now, or you're not ready. Another question we have is, how do you handle performance? You know, you're in the cloud. I've got this device. I just bought 5,000 Chromebooks, but my internet connection's going up to a gig of bandwidth next year, and you know, I want to make sure that Securely can handle the performance. And the great news is, the way that we've architected our solution, it's designed to not add any delays or latency, and be completely scalable for your district. A lot of it has to do with the architecture and how we handle secure traffic and how we proxy traffic, which is another technical term. But we have the ability to look deep inside secure websites like Google and Facebook and Twitter, but we don't bother doing that for the rest of the websites on the internet that we can just block if they're inappropriate. And so that allows us to control how much horsepower per se that we put into every single website that we want to block and look at. And also we have technologies in the cloud that have allowed what we call auto scaling. So we're very quickly able to kind of increase and expand and shrink our technology in the cloud based on the load of our customers. I think we have at least 1 million users now actively concurrent on one system. That can't be said for any other web filter appliance. So performance should not be an issue whatsoever. In fact, a lot of our customers are big districts that say, you know, I got to spend $100,000 on this piece of equipment next year, and I don't even know if that's going to last me 2 years because of how fast my internet connections are getting and how many devices I'm buying. No problem. For the smaller districts, you may not want to spend even $2,000 on a box. And then licensing and support costs on top of that. So you can then just get with Securely for less money and make it easier on you, because you probably don't want to manage that piece of equipment if you didn't have to. So performance is not an issue. The next question I get is typically, well, what do you do about secure websites? Well, I kind of hinted on that earlier. And basically, 60% of the internet now, roundabout, is secure. HTTPS. : / right? We're sharing information. We have credit cards. We have personal information on websites now, and these websites are going to protect our information. So they're going to encrypt their traffic. Many products do what's called man-in-the-middle decryption. They're going to decrypt and inspect every single website that comes through. So naturally, all of your banking websites, all of your dating websites, all of your shopping websites, all of your private email servers you log into, everything is basically tampered with by some type of physical piece of equipment. And Securely has decided that we're only going to do this man-in-the-middle decryption on a very small percentage of traffic. We're only going to care about the websites where we really, truly need information that's specific to education. So Facebook, for example, is one of them. We want to see inside Facebook. We're going to rip that stuff apart because we believe it's important to give you the visibility, and we know that bullying and suicidal posts are on there. So as a student safety product, we're committed to ripping that apart. If you don't want us to do it, we don't have to, but that's one of the short websites on our short list that we are going to inspect. Another question I get is, how do you categorize websites? And do I have the ability to unblock websites or submit websites to be recategorized and so on and so forth? And I love when I get this question, because this is kind of when I sort of say, look, any web filter on the market can be circumvented. Yes, Securely is included. Okay? It's just the nature of web filtering. There's trillions, I think 60, 70 trillion websites in the internet. They move around every day. I've heard as many as 60 to 100 websites a second, if not over 1,000 a second in recent stats. It's impossible to tell a school district that your web filter is perfect. It's going to block all the bad websites more than any other product, and it's not going to block legitimate websites. It's just not true. It'll never happen. I've been doing this for 20 years, and you know, this whole idea of a better mousetrap is a difficult argument. And I think if you've been a tech director at schools for long enough, you've probably used a lot of different web filter products, and you've probably been let down by the salesman's pitch that this is going to be a better filter. This is going to block anonymous proxies better than your existing product. So securely, we don't want to get involved in that conversation. There are, however, some things we have done different. Most web filter products have a commercial list that they buy. So you know, they're going to have 50 to over 150 different categories and subcategories. There's going to be a tremendous amount of things that corporations and corporate America cares about blocking that schools don't. A lot of religious agendas, all kinds of things are in these lists. And of course, now you have to inject that list into a product in your school environment. One thing we've done is we focus our list on only educational content. So we only have 17 categories, and I have them here on the screen in front of me. These are categories that relate to education. They're easy to identify, and ultimately just relies on users of Securely to update us on what websites we should be blocking. So if somebody visits a website with a Chromebook at home that we've never seen before, we can instantly categorize it and make sure that students that access the site the next time don't get there if it fits any of these categories. So it's a live update based on where people in education are going, staff members and students, and it's limited the amount of categories because we're not trying to categorize the internet. So the good news is you don't have to manage the product as much. You don't have to constantly recategorize websites. You don't have to worry as much about websites being blocked. But we can't tell you that your experience is going to be better than the existing filter you have, because we're not a perfect filter. So it's a good filter. I like the technology. I like where it's going. I like the approach that we take, but we don't want to let you down by setting unrealistic, unreasonable expectations. So you're also going to see differences. You're going to see less reports with Securely. You're not going to see features that relate to firewall functionality or bandwidth control. We recommend that you buy a product whose core competency is just that. You know, look at products like Palo Alto or Fortinet or WatchGuard, or products where their pure focus is to be a really good next generation application firewall. Firewalls have a lot to do with web filters these days too. So in short, just to kind of summarize, obviously excited to talk to more schools and to partner with CTL in what we're doing. I think that we don't just want to get hung up on just web filtering. We also want to emphasize and bring an important conversation around what we're doing with student safety, because we want to simply equip you for the future of what the repercussions possibly are with going one-to-one and buying all these Chromebooks. It's not just going to be simple. There are going to be things these kids are using these devices for that are not good, but there's also things they're doing that are good, and we want to help identify the students that are doing good things and help the students that are doing bad things. And so that's really what Securely is doing. We have our headquarter office in San Jose, California. We also have another development office in India. And then all the people that you would interact with are in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am as well. And I think I kind of just conclude with that. And we obviously allow you to try the product out and use it and work with staff here to make sure it's going to work for you. And you can contact CTL if you have more specific questions on working with somebody securely to get it implemented, or talking about an entire web filter solution. But I think we have about at least 5, if not 10 minutes left. So I'm going to open up for any other questions anybody may have.
Thank you, Anders. You know, you had answered actually quite a few questions that were on my question panel. And let me just double check to see if there's any last ones. So that was really great. I highly recommend, for those of you that are listening, to forward this and let your IT and network directors of your school and your district really watch this. It will be posted on our website soon. But I think I think that's going to be it. I think I'm going to change back to my screen if there's nothing else, Anders.
No, thank you. And yep, we're happy to go much more in depth technically. We're also happy to reiterate and show you some more of the product. So yep, just get a hold of CTL and let them know, and we'd be happy to help in any way that we can.
Thank you. Yeah. Let me get the full screen here. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can see that with a bunch of my other tabs open. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and Anders for attending today's webinar, an overview of securely cloud-based internet. If you have any other questions, please contact me at my email you see on the screen. Once you leave today's webinar, you can receive a certificate of completion by visiting that link that you see there, and you fill out something so you can print it out. Also, don't forget to visit our nr21.ctl website for news and information regarding the Nevada 21 program, and a link to view the recording of today's webinar will be available within 24 to 48 hours on our nr21.ctl.net site under recorded webinars. And on behalf of CTL and our presenters, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.